All right. If there's no questions, I would say we move on. Thank you so much. Now we will have our last presentation of the international block, and then we will move on in German. And we will move on to Estonia. I think one of the most digitalized countries in the world, I would say. And we have a keynote speech from Anni Lehari. She's the head of digital strategy at the Ministry of Economic Affairs in Estonia. Welcome. Thank you.
So, guten Tag. But since this is as far as I go with German, then I will switch to English. So to spare myself from the, yes, the green button. Very good, thank you. From the humility. Estonia, and since I'm from the CIO office from Estonia's Ministry of Economic Affairs, then I will take more of a public sector approach. And I was asked to tell you a little bit about what and how are we going on about things in the public sector and public services in Estonia. Who still doesn't know, Estonia is a really small country in the Baltics and neighboring the Nordics, and one very aggressive neighbor in addition. And we are a very, very small nation with a population of only 1.3 million people. So it's about a third of the population of Berlin. So one can say it's a micro nation and a little bit like a boutique state that we're living in. And yes, it sometimes helps to make innovation possible, to make transformative change, but also it hinders risks and some challenges that we have to then overcome. And one of them, for sure, is the scarcity of different resources. And we are talking about capital and just like overall workforce and like human capital. So we have had to make amendments and changes how we are perceiving things in our public sector and public services in general. And that has led to us to using digital a lot. And Estonia has like 99% of different public services online. We are jokingly saying that the only thing you can't do online is getting a divorce. So this is where you actually have to go to the office. But otherwise, everything is available on digital platforms. And when we look back at our very colorful history, then we had the chance of around 30 years ago to start from the scratch. We have had many success stories within those 30 years. But today, I want to focus on one of the most recent developments, which is the personal government. And what do we mean by that? When in the early 2000s, when we already had some of the critical infrastructure in place, our focus was how to digitalize how the government works. So we made stuff like e-cabinet and how the government itself works. So the next 10 years, we focused on different public services that are interlinked then with the citizens and how do we interact with the citizens. But these services were often like a next iteration of analog service and just putting the same service online. But now we want to make it more proactive. So basically, the government or the public services should come to the person when they need it. And they may not even know that they have some sort of an obligation or opportunity, but the government should know that. And how we do this is that there are lots of things happening under the surface that the citizen doesn't need to know about. The citizen doesn't need to know about what kind of registers are there. The citizen doesn't need to know who are the institutions who are actually the service owners. Whether they are in the local government or central government, what the person or the citizen cares about is what are their obligations, what are their opportunities, and like recently, a really important thing, how is my data used, who is using it, why, and how can I opt out from this? So this is something that we have been working on, and it has led us to having event-based services. So not every day you need to interact with the government, but when we can kind of pinpoint the different events that happen in one's life, and then we can take these events and think really citizen-centric, how can we approach this? And how can we make this service proactive? And I have one example for you. Child benefits. There is a wonderful life event of a childbirth. I can say from experience that the last thing that you want to do is talk to the government at that moment. So in this case, there are some things happening on the back end and some things happening on the front end where the parents are. In Estonian case, and this is actually a live service that we have, when a child is born, then it's the hospital's responsibility to start the process. So they will let our national population registry know that there has been a new birth, upon which a unique ID is issued for this newborn with this unique identifier. So they have this like personal code. Afterwards, the National Insurance Board, who is the service owner for granting different child benefits, will get notified that yesterday we had that many people born, and these are the people, and these are their parents. And they ask from the tax authority what are the incomes of the parents, what is their work status, and so on. And then, and this is the first time when we actually need to address something to the parents and to the front end and say, hey, congratulations, you just had a child, but who would like to receive the benefits afterwards? Then the parents can make in the self-service portal a confirmation whether the mom or the dad will start to get the benefits, add their bank details, and then the National Insurance Board can start with the payments. And as you can see, there is very little interaction before from the parent side, and a lot of things can be done on the back end, and the parents don't need to be involved in that. There are some prerequisites for that. First of all, we need to have good infrastructure and like very critical registers, like, for example, the National Population Register. And in Estonia, we are using X-Road, which is a safety and security protocol for the different registers to communicate with each other, and they can exchange data without using like open internet, for example. The data quality has to be there. I have to be 100% sure that you say who you are. And in every time, this just is non-negotiable. I think one of the greatest Estonian invention, or we were really lucky to have this unique identifier, which means that it doesn't matter which kind of organization I am talking to, they always know that this personal code comes with me. And when we are talking about the child benefits, for example, there are already 3 people involved: the mom, the dad, and the child. So we have to make sure that we are 100% sure that those are the people. And of course, innovation in itself is really messy and hard. So we really need those out-of-the-box people who think about these kind of things. And then, this was just one of the examples. But when we are thinking about public services in this way, then we can create various different services and just bring them on the right time to the person. Oh, sorry, wrong button. So what is the greatest challenge here? It sounds very cool, right? But when I said that we started with no legacy 30 years ago, and we could make very easy changes, and we had to build from scratch, then today we have already built ourselves quite a lot of legacy. Every year there is around 100 different registries or databases coming up, but we are not very good at closing the old ones down. So this is definitely a challenge. And same with the public services. When we are talking about direct public service, which is then a service that is provided directly to the citizen, we have over 800 of those. So we really have to think all of this, how we are providing this. And also, I was just selling you the idea of X-Road and having a really good platform and safe platform, but the inquiries on that are skyrocketing. We have every year over 3 billion different inquiries on the X-Road, so the different registries and services could communicate with each other. So this, and of course, as the public sector goes, we can't go past legislation. And we see that since we are not creating new laws from scratch, but today we are talking about how can we are amending and always building on top of the already existing legislation, then we are bringing a lot of complexity to this regulation side as well. And why is complexity bad? Is because it actually is really easily translatable to costs. So the greatest challenge for us is how do we do the new revolution with also simplifying our systems, because quite frankly, we cannot upkeep the complexity level that we have built ourselves today. And what could be the solution? I would propose that one of the solutions is a even better cooperation and collaboration with private sector. We understand that today, in today's world, every field is a digital field, and we still have to have autonomy in those different fields, like internal affairs, transportation, whatnot. But the consistency and the quality of services has to meet some really concrete criteria. And the citizens will get wonderful private sector different services, and they are very used to having a really good service, so they notice when the government is not having the same quality there. And of course, we are doing now as well collaborations with different private entities, but we have been doing it so that usually they are taking care of the development part. So they will build a new registry or a new service, and then the maintenance and upkeep will come to the public sector back again. But we need to find new solutions. How can we get those services? I said we had 800. I really seriously doubt that we have to provide all these services in the government itself. So how can we pinpoint those services that we could actually delegate to the private sector and delegate in full? And what do we need for that? First of all, we have been talking a lot about this microservice architecture. So beforehand, we have built ourselves a lot of monoliths. So when we need to change something, it's really hard. But with the microservice architecture, it will allow us to change bits and pieces. And we don't have to change all the system at once. Innovative technological and legal frameworks, for sure. The procurement system is really out of date, and we need to find new ways how to tackle these kind of things. And of course, it goes very together with the risk management, with vendor lock, for example. It's a very huge thing in public sector that you are scared of and you want to avoid. Competencies. We really need these Übermensch people who have the legal, business, and ICT mindsets and knowledge and competencies all in one, or at least really strong teams that have all those competencies. And of course, ownership. If the public sector is not willing to let go, it's not going to happen. But if they are willing to let go, but there's nobody to get the ball, it's also not going to happen. And in Estonian context, I think one of the most advanced system, or the ecosystem, has done or is being built in education fields. And they have been nurturing this ecosystem and the private part of it for a really long time. So this is not an easy task. But there has been some success in it, and now we are looking ways how can we maybe copy the best parts of it, what the education system has done before. And I can't get past of the AI. We would not have this event here, and I think everybody's talking about it. So what's the Estonian approach? We are talking about technology part. In Estonia, we have a really niche thing that we are such a small country and such a small nation with our own language that in order to have those apps and speak in Estonian, we have to do a lot of investments in itself in this ourselves because the big corporation don't have necessarily the interest to help these small nations out. So this is really a big thing. And also then things that how can we take the AI into the public service level as well. So and also then the different supporting system like competencies and legislation and ethics and overall like data quality and how can we use more data even without the AI. And where are we at? We have many different applications on very different fields. So already AI is being used, and I don't think that it's only an Estonian problem, but as with different innovations, it's really hard to get out of this project mindset. And how can we make systemical change? How can we take this technology and put it in our core business so everybody could get the benefits? So this is, I think, the greatest challenge for Estonia and for other countries as well. And using Jeff Bezos here, I think with the AI, everybody is still at the day one, and we don't have the success stories yet that we could maybe copy. And I really do hope that with having this identity of digital identity in Estonia we are very proud of it. I really hope so that in near future we can already kind of share the ideas how we have done it. So, to conclude, what were we covering today? So the vision. How can we take the public services and make sure that the service comes on the right time, the right person, and how can we make this kind of change happen? The challenge. How do we overcome the complexity that comes with the different technological skills and the technological legacy that we have built? The solution is really obvious, not to try to make it ourselves, but do it in the cooperation with different sectors, private sector and academia. And the future, how can we then use the AI to get us all in the government level to the next level? So thank you. This is it from me. And I don't know, maybe we have some time for the questions.
Yes. We have some time. Yeah, I will take another microphone. Ja. Kann jemand Nummer 5 anstellen? Yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much for your remarks. Really interesting talk. Could you say a few things about bureaucrat? Could you say a few more things about bureaucrat? How well it's working, what state it's in, and you know, just basically what's the story there?
Yeah, I will use that. Bureaucrat. Well, now it's a juicy stuff now, and I didn't really want to bring it up myself because with innovation there always comes also failure, and this is, I think, one of these opportunities for us. What happened with bureaucrat? Bureaucrat is essentially a chatbot that's you can use all across different organizations, institutions, and they scrape the information from all different various then sources. So I don't need to go to transportation website to get information about transportation. And the idea and vision was also that at some point we are able to also provide services through that, but we started this before the language models were available and out. And we started doing it ourselves. And you can guess 3 times what happened. ChatGPT came out, and this system, the bureaucrat, sounded like a broken machine. So everybody, the expectations of the people went up so high, so fast, that we could not be able to actually keep up with that pace. And what the solution is, we have now learned that it's not always the best way to do things ourselves. And we are trying now to find the collaboration and use private sector on how they can bring along their best knowledge of what they do best and take it to the next level. So it was a tough question, but thank you for that. But I think our time is up. If you have any elaboration wishes or you want to chat, then find me here.
Thank you so much. You will be around here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So